the scariest place, the scariest cave, that's where your treasure is. It's always linked up. The thing I most don't want to do, that's where it is. Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. Welcome to the Laughing Mystics, an unorthodox journey through the liturgical year with Laura Lewis Barr and Marcy Maderi.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Laura.
Hello, Marcy.
So we are here going to be talking about the 18th Sunday in the kingdom of reign of God of heaven is now time.
It's now, whatever it is, it's now.
It's now time. Also known as ordinary time.
Yeah. That's a running joke between us, apparently.
It is, and it's a good one. I mean, I'm entertained by it.
Okay.
My children would sometimes get upset with me when I would tell bad jokes. And I'm really good at, those really terrible, corny dad jokes. I should be a dad. A reading from the book of Ecclesiastes. Vanity of vanities, says Koheleth. Vanity of vanities, all things are vanity. Here is one who has labored with wisdom and knowledge and skill, and yet to another who has not labored over it, he must leave property. This also is vanity and a great misfortune. For what profit comes to a human from all toil and anxiety of heart, with which he has labored under the sun? All his days and sorrow and grief are his occupation. Even at night his mind is not at rest. This is also vanity. Ba-ba-ba-ba.
What?
Vanity of vanities.
What do you think?
Well, I think we need to kind of unpack that word vanity.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good place to start.
For sure.
Because it's not just about how I want to look beautiful, as I think of as vanity.
Yes.
Today, I think it's bigger, deeper, more like pride. I don't know, Laura, what do you think about that word, vanity?
Well, I looked it up. And what I learned is it's translation of the Hebrew term hebel, which refers to mist, vapor, or mere breath. So something that is so insubstantial.
Mist, vapor, or mere breath. So just like
it's fleeting.
Nothing.
It's
fleeting. Oh, well, that's a good word.
The term occurs in 29 other verses. It's 5 times in this verse and 29 other verses in Ecclesiastes. It's a big one. Yeah.
So like what's really important in this world and what's not?
And most of it is not. Because all is vanity. Unpacking, though, as it goes further is fascinating to me. So even the person who labors with wisdom, knowledge, and skill must leave his property to somebody who hasn't done that. And property, like we're in wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and suddenly I'm leaving property. But I guess, one thing I take from that is just things I might think of as being substantial, like a podcast or a PhD or, things that aren't even physical things are still vanity or still like mere breath. And I don't get to keep those anyway.
Well, or to leave property. I mean, like you don't need that property anymore if you have wisdom, knowledge, and skill.
Okay, but the sentence says, and yet to another who has not labored over it.
So the one who has not labored over it must leave property.
didn't take it that way.
How did you take it?
So here is one who has labored, leaves the property to somebody who has not labored.
So the one who's labored, who has wisdom, knowledge, and skill, doesn't need the property anymore. That's kind of...
Okay.
I don't know.
This is also vanity and a great misfortune. That's why I took it that way. Like, hey, I've been laboring. You haven't labored, but I got to give it to you. I don't know. It's strange, though, anyway, that we're talking about wisdom, knowledge, and skill, and suddenly we're talking about property. And it happens again, like I'm toiling with anxiety of heart in the sun.
Right.
It's like a mixture of physical labor and physical things with emotional, psychological, mental things. They're all vanity anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, and we go from the sun to that next verse, that all his days, sorrow and grief are his occupation. Even at night, his mind is not at rest. So he's toiling during the day, and his mind is not at rest over things that are not important, over things that are fleeting.
Yeah. It's a really important message for the modern person, you know? And there's a movement called the Death Cafe. Are you familiar?
Yeah.
You want to explain what it is?
Well, my understanding is it's a place where people can talk about death.
Yeah.
Without anyone getting weird about it.
And it's not like for people who are terminally ill.
No.
It's just for all of us to think about what matters, what's lasting, what... I haven't done one because there's one I always want to go. It's Friday night. I'm busy, but that's what I think of. Like this really necessary reflection on the finality of everything. And what I stress about and what I think is so important is going away. And if I can I think the idea of the Death Cafe, I think, is that if I can make my peace with death now, I'm just going to live that much better. I'm just going to live a much better life.
Well, because we let go of that toiling and anxiety of heart.
Yeah, exactly. We recognize that all things are vanity.
Something interesting in the commentary of, it's the workbook for lectors of gospel readers and proclaimers of the word. It says in Ecclesiastes, the speaker is called Koheleth, which is a rare Hebrew term that likely describes the role of one who calls together the community of God's people. So the book of Ecclesiastes makes it clear that this individual studied many fields and topics so as to gain vast knowledge and understanding of the things of this world. That's the person who's saying that all is fleeting. Right.
So he has sought out all the knowledge, and he goes, it really doesn't mean anything. Yeah, that does say a lot.
Right. It's the wisdom figure.
Yeah, I'm glad you explained that. And wouldn't it be amazing if our professors in school said, you know what, all mere breath. It's all like nothing. And we can study things and learn, and it's important on a level, but we take ourselves so seriously. We get puffed up with that breath, and it's just fleeting.
Hey, Laura, do you know why angels can fly?
No, why?
Because they take themselves so lightly.
Do you ever have flying dreams?
I had a couple dreams about an alligator, a pet alligator. Jung would say every piece of a dream is a part of the dreamer.
Yeah.
So that alligator being,
oh yeah,
maybe my crusty side, my strong side, and how do I tame that? How do I invite that into the community of me?
Exactly. I just think that I get very hooked onto what seems to be important. And this is a great reminder for me. I think sitting with these readings is, as I've said before, changing me.
Well, and how mulling over something over and over and over does not help me one bit. That the toil during the day and restlessness at night, it's not helpful.
Yeah, we're going to spiral around this, and I think in this next reading, we are going to be speaking more about what you've just said. A reading from Colossians. Sisters and brothers, if you were raised with Christ, seek what is above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. Think of what is above, not of what is on earth. For you have died, and your life is hidden with Christ in God. When Christ your life appears, then you too will appear with him in glory. Put to death, then, the parts of you that are earthly, immorality, impurity, passion, evil desire, and the greed that is idolatry. Stop lying to one another, since you have taken off the old self with its practices, and have put on the new self, which is being renewed for knowledge, in the image of its Creator. Here there is not Greek and Jew, circumcision and uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, slave, free, but Christ is all and in all.
Put on Christ, put on Christ, come to the waters of everlasting life, everlasting life. That last part, that's all improv.
Wow.
That song, I love that song. It's Grace and Warren Brown, I believe.
Okay.
That's what this song or this reading is about.
Yeah. The abstraction doesn't really work for me. This put to death then the parts of you that are earthly. This is a challenging.
I don't like that word earthly.
Well, for sure.
I think it's a terrible translation.
Yeah. And we've talked about the stuff above think of what is above, not what is on earth.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, how do we manage this tension between honoring what is earthly, what is instinctual, what is passionate, what is the shadow? Because I think what happened when Christianity started, and I think, Paul is part of this, is that we went into a period of repressing. And maybe it was a necessary, people needed to learn to tame their instinctual selves. I don't know. But we've gone the other way. And I think people like Richard Rohr, certainly Jung and Freud and other people, are now trying to help us come back to more center. So how do we manage this? And you were saying something that we were going to tie into. You were saying, how do you stop mulling is what you just finished saying.
Yes.
And I think in my life, the learning is that moving into the impulse in my mind anyway, maybe not my actions, using an active imagination is going to bring me to what is working in my soul. And if I just shut it all down, that movement doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. So mulling, just telling myself it's vanity. Now I'm sort of contradicting myself in this paradoxical way, but just telling myself that it's vanity maybe isn't enough. Like if I'm mulling there's something in my soul that's churning that needs to churn, I think. And putting to death parts of myself, I'm afraid of that. I'm not saying things don't have to die. They do. But I think that there's a surrender that happens, not a repression that happens. Maybe that's the fine line.
I like that. That's surrender versus repression. I do. I like that.
Yeah.
With the mulling, there are some things I need to chew on and try to sort out in my life.
Yeah.
But what I was really thinking of is, okay, so my daughter lives in New York City and she's going to come visit. And then I mull over, well, will she get up? Will she get in time? Will she pack whatever she is? Will she remember her ID? Will the plane take off on time? Will the plane be safe? What about this and what about that? That's the kind of thing that I mean, maybe I need to ask myself, where does that worry come from? Where does that fear come from?
Right.
And how do I release it so it doesn't have control over me?
Right. I think it's a great example because if I were to say to you, Marcy, just be positive. We talked about those horrible kind of
Right.
statements.
Just get over it.
Yeah, exactly. It's all vanity anyway. Like, none of that helps.
Mm-hmm.
But for you to, like you say, get in touch with, well, what's fueling that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's behind it? What's underneath it? As opposed to staying in that,
Exactly.
mulling, that swirling pit of sewage,
Right.
Or if I'm sure that someone doesn't like me or I'm going over a conversation.
Yeah, I like it. And I have a book by someone who studied Teilhard's work a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the book is something like 7 ways to suffer, seven levels of suffering, or
Nice.
happy book. And the idea that I hear in what you're saying, it's like, all right, I have this anxiety, I have this worry habit, and I don't like it, and it seems like it kind of runs me, and there is some evolutionary process I hear in it. Like, we're all learning to overcome early trauma. I think we're all working through trauma really in the world, and that these are small examples of trauma responses, and as we suffer through them, there is movement toward the next level. So while I agree, like, this neurotic suffering that just circles forever isn't good, some circling is good. Maybe that's one way to say it.
Well, thinking and reflecting is good.
Yeah.
Considering, and but how long do I stay there?
I guess when I put myself in that place, I'm just thinking about suffering through replaying an event and recognizing as I become conscious of that replay, like, it's not just happening unconsciously, but now I go, oh, look at me, I'm replaying this event. I think that there's a goodness in, maybe I just think that there's a goodness in becoming conscious of it. And maybe I can't let go of it right away. And as I'm consciously watching myself do it, there is some goodness. And this writer of Teilhard said, he gave a classic example of being ill, physically ill, and that classic thing of mysteriously offering up the suffering, because in a mysterious way, the action of offering it up is connected to the evolution toward health of the world.
Okay. I hear that as a little different Because if I'm ill, I don't have control over that pain. That pain it's not a choice.
I guess I don't see physical illness and emotional, psychological illness that differently. And I don't see choice. Choice runs very dangerously close to me to repressing. Like, it's just a hair's breadth away from shutting it down. So you talk of a dream of an alligator, and it's such a rich symbol to me. And that alligator energy that is present, and it's got stuff to do, and it might not be stuff that I really like. I guess overall, I think that our psyche, our psychology, our soul is so much bigger than our ego that choices I make, I get scared of the choice of the idea of being the one that is making the decisions, as opposed to sort of working, as we've said, with the parts and surrendering.
When I'm not aware of something and not conscious of it and I'm not working with it, then it's going to come out.
Got it.
Indirectly or indirectly, and it will hurt the people that I love.
Right.
And hurt me.
Got it.
That's what I'm talking about with choice.
Right. Right. And so we've been circling around this idea of putting things to death.
There are some things that I would like to put to death within myself. That's true. I mean, I don't want to be critical of other people. I'd like to put that to death. I don't get to do that, do I?
I just, I'm not coming at this from any theoretical place. I'm coming from it from an emotional, intuitive place as you're talking. So when you say, I'd like to put to death the critical parts, and I think to myself, okay, so there's a lot of energy in the shadow, and there's a lot of good energy. So the critical part contains parts of you that discern good, bad. It's like a really vibrant part that has a lot of passion. And so if I'm just going to cut it out, then
I miss all the good too.
So in fairy tales, there's this great image that always comes up. Like Cinderella does it. A lot of the heroines do it. The evil part throws the lentils into the dirt, or whatever. Picking out the little pieces, the tiniest little pieces, and having to separate it out. That's what Cinderella has to do. And it's such a great image of that discernment, the smallest discernment of what is life-giving and what isn't. And dealing with the shadow is like, it feels like it's the main task of our culture right now. How do we, because like you've said, if we repress it, it's just going to come out in a bad way.
Right. And I like that idea of going deep into it in order to understand it and then to surrender or release it. In a river, a big river, sometimes there are these whirlpools of sorts.
Yeah.
That pull you down.
Okay.
And fighting it will kill you. You'll drown. The only way to handle that situation is to relax, let yourself go way down, and then the river will pop you back up in a different place.
That's a great metaphor.
Yes.
Paul is doing his best to try to get people to not hurt each other.
Yes. And stop lying to one another.
Right. He doesn't have the time to go, what's behind that, But I think I think that's one of the things about church that isn't working, is that we're pressuring ourselves to be good, and then, and this was Jung's whole thing, then we deny and go unconscious of all the stuff that's churning in us.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out in crazy bad ways.
Mm-hmm.
And then we deny that, or we project it on somebody else and say it's them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really bad whirlpool that we get stuck in.
In which we are hurt and we hurt others.
Exactly.
But I do like your point of view. Like Paul's got so many of these early churches, he just wants to say, knock it off.
Yeah.
All right. We have another reading from the Gospel of Luke, since we are in Cycle C. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me." He replied to them, "Friend, who appointed me to be your judge and arbitrator?" Then he said to the crowd, "Take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions."
Then he told them a parable. There was a rich man whose land produced a bountiful harvest. He asked himself, "What shall I do? For I do not have space to store my harvest." And he said, "This is what I shall do. I shall tear down my barns and build larger ones. There I shall store all my grain and other goods, and I shall say to myself, 'Now as for you, you have so many good things stored up for many years. Rest, eat, drink, be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this night your life will be demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, to whom will they belong? Thus will it be for all who store up treasure for themselves, but are not rich in what matters to God.'"
Oh, vanity.
Yeah.
Here we are. I love the connection, particularly between the first reading and the gospel, that they were chosen on purpose. I really like Jesus' response. "Who appointed me as your judge and arbitrator?"
It must have got really tiresome. Like, come on, man. But such a good example of what people think is important. So the question, it ends with this: store up treasure for ourselves in what matters to God. Be rich in what matters to God. What is that? What matters to God? What should we be rich in?
Well, if God is indeed a relationship, as we believe in the Trinity, then I would think that relationships are important to God. Generosity. I don't know. What do you think is important to God?
I would say there's a great story that I've heard. A Jewish rabbi, really beloved. I don't remember his name in this story, so we'll just say Rabbi Hockum. He was so beautiful, and he had a lot of students that loved him. And he was dying, and they came to be with him, and they said, "How you doing, Rabbi?" And he said, "I'm really afraid. I'm really afraid to die." And his students are like, "Rabbi, you are amazing. You're like Moses. You're like Elijah. You're just such a learned, amazing man. Why would you be afraid to die?" And Rabbi Hockum said, "Well, I may be, for you like Moses or Elijah, but I'm afraid that God is going to say to me, 'Why didn't you become Rabbi Hockum?'"
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a story.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that's, for me, the richness, like, have I become who I'm called to be? And, I'm in my 6th decade, and I think I'm just starting to find it, to, like, a lot of these early years have been going through labyrinths that have gone down side pathways, and I feel more coming toward the center. I visit Marcy and we talk about my inner life, and I'm always amazed, like, it's just a storehouse that leads to another room and another room and another room and another room. That's where God is for me, in that inner world.
As a mother, I love to watch my children soar and do what they're great at and be themselves. And it gives me so much joy. And if I, as sinful as I am, can handle that joy, how much more does my Creator have when I am fully myself?
And that these parts of us these parts of me that embarrass me are really close to what is most precious, I think. And that, is part of the struggle. It was Joseph Campbell who used to always say, the scariest place, the scariest cave, that's where your treasure is. It's always linked up. The thing I most don't want to do, that's where it is. Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
And with this reading, just everything that we've been talking about living in this moment, that daily bread.
Yeah.
Of not being greedy, not taking more than what is ours, not taking more than what we need.
Yeah, this story of the rich man is very pertinent to our world for sure.
And that really specific example, teacher, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me. It breaks my heart how many sibling relationships are strained or broken over inheritance. Trading in a lifetime of love and connection for money. It's just a hard thing to witness, when people choose that. So that's definitely real life today.
Like, people who fight over inheritances, I've heard, it often has to do with fighting for the love of the parent and the recognition of the parents, and that I was as loved, and why did you get more?
Well, and in my family, we've got 2 sisters, one older, one younger. My older sister and I both know and are clear and tease my little sister that she's my mom's favorite.
Okay.
It's great. Regardless of inheritance. We were all clear already.
You've done that inner work around it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes. And she's, my little sister is sweet and good, and it's all fun teasing and based in truth.
Yeah. Most humor is.
Although, right, if it's too true, it's not funny. Then it's just mean.
Well, if you can laugh at something, I think it implies a certain distance from it.
True.
And the whole idea of laughter, we'll have to talk about that someday, because the psychology of what we laugh at, I think, reveals so much about us and about a culture.
This makes me nervous because I laugh at a lot of things.
That's true. That's interesting.
and then we'll all know just all my neuroses. Well, thank you, good listeners, for plugging in and checking us out today. We hope you have a really great day, and take a moment to share this podcast with someone who you think it would be beneficial for. Someone who maybe could use a moment of reflection and a moment of laughter. And give us a like, send us a comment, and just know that You are in our minds and in our hearts as we do this.
Yay.
All right. Take care.
See you next week.